Hey everyone, in this voice recording, I'm going to be talking about sacred trees in the Roman Republic. Now, previously, I had made voice recordings of sacred birds in the Roman Republic, sacred animals like canines and felines, the cats and the dogs, both big and small. I also spoke about the sacred birds in the Roman Republic. So in this voice recording, I'm going to be speaking about the sacred trees or the sacredness of trees in the Roman Republic. Now, just like any other pagan civilization that exists, in this existence or any other existence, there is one thing in common among all the pagan civilizations is that they are in tune with nature and all the elements, As in, there is a lot of nature worship that goes on in the pagan civilizations. And Rome is a pagan civilization, a nature worshiping civilization, a nature worshiping republic, with a spiritual system or spirituality that is in tune with nature worship and the elements, So this is why Rome also had sacred trees, Now, I had made a previous video or voice recording on Druidism and the tree people, Druidism and the tree people. So this is in some way related to that. Now, the Romans, had contact with the Druids, especially towards the north of the Roman province of Lindum, Londonium, far north of Roman Britain or Britannica, So over there was where most of these Druidic priests and some priestesses were located, They were tree worshippers, And Druidism has everything to do with trees and the tree people, Now in Rome, you also had tree people, and you also had oracles that were not exactly like the Druids. I mean, their path of spirituality was different, but you also had tree people in Rome, which was especially associated with the goddess Ceres, or the goddess of the grains and agriculture, in some way associated with agriculture. But Ceres wasn't the only goddess. There was several others, So the tree people in the Roman Republic, just like the Druids outside of the Roman Republic towards the north of Roman Britain, existed. Now, I'm just going to keep it simple. What trees were considered sacred? Now, like I said previously, not every single tree is to be considered sacred in the Roman Republic. There's some that are sacred and some that are just trees, Now, this isn't to put an inferiority complex on trees that are not sacred. In a way, everything is important in some way or form, but nature decides that. The sacred trees in Rome were obviously first would be the olive trees, because from the olive tree that used to give olives, olive oil could be made out of that or pressed out of the olives in an olive oil press. And this olive oil was very important for the Romans, both male and female, because they used to use it in the bathhouses, they would oil themselves up with the olive oil and then scrape it off with some kind of a steel instrument, thus removing dirt from off the skin. Like it was common in the Roman bathhouses to also use olive oil for massages, maybe to relax after some gladiator fight or chariot race, or, just taking care of yourself in a Roman bathhouse, which would be like some kind of a spa kind of thing or whatever, or a steamed bathhouse, something like that. So olive oil was very desirable product in the Roman Republic. Okay, so the olive tree was very sacred in Rome. It also had some spiritual meaning to it. Also, the olive branches that were worn by Roman patricians or the Caesar or people of the elites in Rome, as in the elite Roman society, some of them would wear olive branches on their heads, at ceremonial events. Sometimes Caesar himself would wear olive branches as he's sitting on his throne. Members of the Senate sometimes would wear olive branches. Not the branches, but leaves, as a headwear. So now the spiritual meaning of these olive leaves would be it. One thing that it could represent would be peace, but also fertility, because the color green is associated with fertility because it's the fertile leaves, after winter, after the cold death of winter, when, there's not much green to be found, especially when it's snowing, you have new life, fertility in the spring season with the new leaves that are a luscious green. So that green of the olive leaves symbolized fertility, that forest green, earthly green. Another thing it could represent would be peace, but not only peace and fertility, it had many other meanings as well. For example, olive oil could also be associated with hell. If you burn olive oil to such a high temperature and just pour it over some unfortunate thing, it's a burning hell. So the olive branches doesn't only mean peace, it could also mean fertility, it can also mean a burning hell, and it could also mean sometimes a weapon on a catapult, like just catapult a pot with burning hot olive oil onto the enemies or something from a catapult. So that's olive oil, and this olive tree had many spiritual meanings. Okay? Another sacred tree would mean the vineyards, okay? The grapes, the grape tree, the winery, the trees from which grapes of wine are grown was also a sacred tree. Okay? Wine was also a very commonly used beverage, alcoholic, obviously, which means it does get you drunk, as they say, or at least to the bare minimum tipsy if it's a very, if it's not made well. So these are just two examples of some sacred trees in Rome. Now I prefer to explain it in a simple way just to make it less confusing. But it's way more deeper than this. However, if you want to get into the more deeper spiritual meanings of sacred trees in Rome, example, the olive tree and the grape vineyard tree or whatever, you have to consult a trustworthy, anointed oracle priestess. Because the priestesses and oracles who were females were more connected with this sacred tree spirituality inside the Roman Republic. Okay? So, yeah. Now, another thing, trees in the Roman Republic, you would have also, sacred trees like the tree of eternal life, the mother tree of eternal life, the father tree of philosophy, the father tree of craftsmanship, weapons making, or the mother tree of quenching your thirst after a long march somewhere or whatever. So there was many different sacred trees in the Roman Republic. It wasn't just one tree was sacred and the rest were cursed or something. Every tree was unique. You had some cursed trees also, but they were usually away from the cities. They were in the far wilderness, outside of the cities. But look, it depends really who approaches the tree. There are certain trees that are cursed only for some people and a blessing to other people in the Roman Republic. So just because one person gets cursed by a tree in the Roman Republic doesn't mean that same tree will curse everyone, because each tree is very unique and different. Okay? Even olive trees. Just because they're all olive trees doesn't mean they're all going to be the same and all of the oil and olives are going to taste the same. If you pay close attention and you're having a fine taste for things, you will be able to notice the difference between the olive oil produced from, let's say, a tree in the Roman province of Hispania, or a tree in, let's say, Capua, So if you have a fine taste for things, you can see the uniqueness of every olive tree. They're not all the same. So yeah, same thing with the wine making trees. Okay. So yeah. Also, why trees were sacred? Certain trees, both male and female. Okay, it wasn't just only the male trees are sacred, or only the female trees are sacred. There was a good balance. Sometimes, there used to be a bit of imbalance here and there, but it was usually sorted out by the anointed, trustworthy oracles. There were several types of father trees, or you could also call them mentor trees, and there were several types of mother trees, or female mentor trees, okay? And there was also some cursed trees, but not cursed for everyone. You just have to explore these trees for yourself to know, which were usually in the wilderness. So that's all I have in this video about sacred trees and the tree people in the Roman Republic. I'll put some links in the description box below. You can check them out if you're interested. I'll see you people later.